I got another incredibly stupid question for you, courtesy of Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee trying to take down ACB. And this one is pretty remarkable. I guess not surprising in its own way, but remarkable nonetheless. You have Senator Cory Booker here. Because remember, for a lot of these Senate Democrats, this is really just about getting camera time. They treat these hearings not as an opportunity to get to important truths or speak to differing judicial philosophies in a way that's illuminating. That's not that's come on. Come on, what is that weak sauce, right? Nothing that's actually worthwhile. No, it's about grandstanding. It's about getting camera time. It might as well be a cable news hit on MSNBC for these Democrats. And I do think that particularly the TV news media has done so much to poorly influence political discourse, especially for these Democrats. It exists on the right too, and I sometimes even call it out on the right, but it's really on the left. I mean, if you want to keep getting elected to the House or the Senate, you just got to be on MSNBC like every 10 minutes. You know, you got to do it. So that's something that goes, I think, unnoticed a lot of the time. But okay, here we go. We have Cory Booker, who asks Amy Coney Barrett this question because he's trying to remember he was I am Spartacus. Well, with this question, he definitely didn't sound particularly Smartacus. Womp womp. But Cory Booker asked her a question that I guess he thought this was worthwhile for some reason. Please play 13.
I'm going to ask you some questions that if you had told me 5 years ago that would be questions asked at a Supreme Court nomination hearing, I would have thought they wouldn't be possible. But unfortunately, I think they're necessary to ask you. And I hope that you'll give me direct answers. The first one, you've already spoken towards issues of racism and how you deplore it. But I want to just ask you very simply, and I imagine you'll give me a very short, resolute answer. But you condemn white supremacy, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad to see that you said that. I wish our president would say that so resolutely and unequivocally as well. But we are at a time that Americans are literally fearful because their president cannot do that in the resolute manner in which you did. I'm sorry that question had to even be asked at this time.
I don't want this question to be asked, and it shouldn't have to be asked, and I know what your answer is going to be, and it's not going to tell us anything we don't already know, and I can't believe it's going to be asked, but I'm going to ask you the question. I mean, this guy, what a clown, honestly. He's asking a woman who is mother to 2 Haitian children. Those are her kids. Asking her if she condemns white supremacy? And look, I know that he says that he knew what the answer is going to be, but why is he asking the question? Oh, we all know why he's asking the question. So he can turn this into some speech about how Trump doesn't condemn white supremacy, which is a lie. We've noticed last week, we had to go through this. It's the cycle all over again. They say, oh, he won't condemn white supremacy. And then people finally go, okay, fine. They start pulling out all the clips and all the times, and the press secretary and all these people have said the president condemns white supremacy, right? They grab all this stuff. And then they wait a week or two and they go, you know, the president doesn't condemn white supremacy. And you just want to just throw things at the wall. What do you mean? If we're doing this again? Yes, we're doing this again. Doing this again. Gaslighting. There you go. There you go. That was supposed to be a gaslight noise. It kind of just sounded like I was slurring my words for some reason. Didn't really work, but gaslight actually comes from a play, I believe. The term comes from a play. Although who knows? Maybe they'll tell you something else. They'll change the definition of the dictionary. Yeah, asking her if she condemns white supremacy. She's got 2 black children, but she needs to be asked that. Sure. It is worth noting that the left has nonetheless attacked Judge Amy Coney Barrett, including her adoption. And they did this particularly in the early days of this nomination process online because they say that there's a I think it was Ibram Kendi, professor at Boston University, who said that there was something colonial and therefore exploitative, or I can't remember his exact wording, about a white woman adopting 2 children from Haiti. It was really, really ugly. First of all, it's just untrue and ugly stuff to say. And a lot of Democrats, and including Democrat professors, excel at that stuff. Here's what ACB said about that. Play 10.
Some butthead professor at Boston University says that because you and your husband have 2 children of color, that you're a white colonist. The implication is that you're a racist, and that you use your 2 children as props. Do you use your children as props?
Senator Kenney, it was the risk of people saying things like that, which would be so hurtful to my family, that when I told Senator Graham this morning that my husband and I had to really weigh the costs of this, it was saying deeply offensive and hurtful things that are not only hurtful to me, but are hurtful to my children, who are my children, who we love, and who we brought home and made part of our family. And accusations like that are cruel.
You know what one of the problems that Amy Coney Barrett has with all this is? One of the challenges that she really has. There are a lot of leftists, a lot of Democrats who see her and they recognize someone who, no matter how much they tell themselves they believe in climate change, and they wear masks all the time, and they watch Rachel Maddow, and they read the New York Times, they see someone who is smarter than they are, kinder than they are, and a better person than they are. And it really bothers them. It really unsettles them. Part of the narrative that you tell yourself as a liberal is that because of some of those things I just mentioned to you and many, many others, you at least get to look at half the country with some disdain. You get to look on everybody who doesn't agree with your politics. I mean, I as a conservative, I always tell people, don't look at libs. I mean, some of them are obviously crazy. A lot of them are, but don't look at them with disdain. If anything, I wish they would agree with more of what I say. And I try to find points of common humanity and common understanding with them whenever possible. It's hard these days because they won't let us, but I do it. And on an individual level, I have plenty of friends who are liberals, and I think our interpersonal relationships and decency are more important than any professed political position. You know, I always say that. I do not attack liberals who are friends of mine on this show, and that's just a rule. That's just how I go about my life. That's how I conduct my business. But that all said, there are still a lot of liberals out there who see Amy Coney Barrett, and she is a reminder of their deficiencies. She is a reminder that it is possible, in fact, to believe actual Catholic teaching, to get married, to have a career, to have a big family, and to be happy, and to be really, really smart. Yeah. Now, many of us, I mean, if you're listening to this show, you know that already has existed all along, but she's a real symbol of it. There's resentment for Amy Coney Barrett. There's resentment among those on the left as well. You know, we have so many of these liberals, and I think this is also getting to a real sore point for them that they won't bring up. But you know, Pelosi before, when we're talking about getting an aid package for people from COVID, Pelosi really clearly went into high outrage because there was even a suggestion that she wasn't taking care of people who have been hit hard by COVID, that she wasn't doing everything possible to help those who are suffering during this. And it was interesting because, well, she's not. But she wants everyone to think so, and that's a very important part of her self-regard. There's another area where a lot of particularly very wealthy white liberals think of themselves very highly, and it's in that they care so much about underprivileged minorities, particularly Black Americans and African Americans who have obviously, you know, in different parts of the country, disproportionate rates of incarceration and not finishing high school at the same rates and all of that, right? So the libs always talk a big game about this. But it's fascinating because when you start to get down to a little bit, I know a lot of white liberals who really don't spend any time with minorities. Certainly not. I mean, maybe minorities who went to their class in Harvard, went to their, university, went to Harvard with them, but not minorities who are struggling. They don't know any. They don't have any over for dinner. They don't spend any time with them. They don't go into the poor, high crime neighborhoods. No, they go march with other idiot libs complaining about the police in those neighborhoods, right? They don't actually spend any time in these places. They're not volunteering their own hours to try to, provide mentorship and additional educational opportunity for these kids. No, your classic white lib is watching Rachel Maddow thinking, yeah, Republicans are so racist. Here's Amy Coney Barrett, who's, I'm not even getting into this. It doesn't matter what she looks like, but she's also, telegenic is, I think, the word I can say without getting in trouble. She's a telegenic woman, mother of 7, legal superstar, clearly. And she clearly doesn't care about skin color and did something beautiful for 2 children from Haiti, made them her own children, right? You got Cory Booker, who's saying, do you condemn white supremacy? The whole point is, Republicans are also racist. Well, it's Amy Coney Barrett, who's adopted 2 kids from Haiti and loves them as her own, loves them as she does as a mother, her all of the rest of her kids. And I think that upsets libs at some level because they like the stereotype of the, at least being able to believe, even the Republicans that are kind of fancy sounding out there, they're a little bit racist. They're a little bit racist. Amy Coney Barrett, I keep saying it, I'm sorry. Amy Coney Barrett did something selfless and beautiful and expanded her family and showed that she is someone who should be lecturing the left, actually, on how to take action based upon your morals and beliefs, and to do so with dignity and poise. They just resent all of this. Who is this Republican pro-life woman who's had this family and this career and adopted these 2 black children from Haiti and has pulled all of this together? You can't have that and be a Republican. You can't act that way and think that way and be a Republican. You're an evil Trump supporter if you're a Republican. Oh, maybe what the left sees is that some of them at least, and this manifests itself as more hatred, but eventually the smarter ones might be able to process this over time. What they see and what's happening here is they resent her because she is a living refutation of what they've been brainwashed to think the right is all about. In so many ways, she is a perfect example of what many on the right and conservatism aspire to in so many ways and hold up as what. Look, no one's perfect. I'm not saying she's some ideal for all of us to live to, but there's some impressive stuff here. And on the other side, they don't like this. They're much more comfortable. They're much happier living in this fantasy that anyone who's a Democrat cares more about the poor, about minorities, has better ideas for the advancement, not just the advancement of women in the workplace or professionally, the advancement of women's happiness and fulfilling very deep purpose as a woman. Like, what are the best ways to achieve that? Men have to think about the same things too. The left has no answers. And as I've said, Amy Coney Barrett is just a refutation of so many of the false answers they offer.
And I want to emphasize, just given this line of questions that you're asking, that, I am standing before the committee today saying that I have the integrity to act consistently with my oath and apply the law as the law, to approach the ACA and every other statute without bias. And I have not made any commitments or deals or anything like that. I'm not here on a mission to destroy the Affordable Care Act. I'm just here to apply the law and adhere to the rule of law.
She's just saying, look, I'm going to be a really good, fair judge. And obviously, I have all the skills and experience and knowledge to do this. I love it. For about 2 days, there was this whole, she doesn't have enough time on the federal bench. Elena Kagan was never even a judge. Made a Supreme Court justice, okay? And look, Kagan's smart. I'll say that. I disagree with her, but she's a smart lawyer. She's capable. Not all the Democrat Supreme Court justices are smart, but you already know how I feel about that. But then when they can't attack, and you're going to hear a lot of this in the closing moments, the closing arguments from these ACB hearings, which you'll notice I kept this for later on in the show because it's important, but, everyone's going to forget about this in a few days. I want us to get back to the political fight here. I want us to get back into lockdowns and back to the economy and all this. ACB is going to get through. There we go. It's going to happen. And now we're getting to two out of three of the big three. Trump beats COVID. Trump gets ACB. Trump beats Biden. If we get all three of those in 1 month, it's gonna make the year 2020 feel just a little bit less bitter and awful. I think that's true. I think that's fair. But they're going to in the closing moments, they're also just attacking this on weak process grounds. One of my favorites is that this is a stolen. Look, John Avlon, the guy's a lib. He's over at CNN. He does whatever they tell him to do. It's fine. A stolen Supreme Court seat. Play 14.
Of course, that's exactly what President Obama's nominee Merrick Garland was denied. But Republican senators assured us that this was the new election year standard. That was a lie. So when Mitch McConnell complained about the Democratic playbook of double standards, broken promises, and raw power, he was engaging in some primo projection. Here's some way to gauge it. Judge Amy Coney Barrett's actually sitting in a stolen appellate court seat right now. That's right. Obama's nominee, Mara Selby, was the first woman and first African-American to serve on the Indiana Supreme Court. She was flat out denied a Senate vote. That's because Republican Senator from Indiana, Dan Coates, blocked it. In contrast, Democratic Senator from Indiana, Joe Donnelly, granted a vote to Amy Coney Barrett when she was nominated by Trump. Now, when Trump got into office, there were 103 court vacancies. How did that happen?
What exactly does he not understand? Does he not understand how government works? This would be like saying, but Republicans don't vote for bills that Democrats want sometimes. Yeah, that's the system we have. And he even, while talking about lying, he misstates what the McConnell rule was, which is when the president and the Senate are not, the Senate majority is not the same party. That's the rule. That's not happening. So they're not even, and who gives a crap what the McConnell rule was? There was a filibuster for judicial nominees till Harry Reid came along and said, yeah, well, there doesn't have to be. So the law is the law. And that's ultimately what this comes down to. The law is the law. The Constitution is the Constitution. This process is clear. They have no means to try to subvert it. And that's where we find ourselves, my friends. They're just whining and they get nothing. Maybe we really are. By the time you hear this, maybe it'll really almost be all done. And ACB, we're going to have this vote. It's hard for me to trust that, though. Yesterday, I was feeling like they must have some trick up their sleeve, but I couldn't think of one. I've been telling you that. And maybe I couldn't think of one because there isn't one. Sometimes you just run out of divisions and you can't win the war. Before we get to roll call, I just want to say, are they really claiming that Trump is not allowed to dance to YMCA over at CNN? This is what I'm seeing. Play 15.
Wow. They play that song like every night in every gay bar across America. But and last night I think it was Macho Man and that one too. You cannot write this stuff. But he is having fun and dancing on the graves of 215,000 Americans. Dancing.
Not allowed to dance, folks. Not allowed to dance. People have died. Can't dance. You shouldn't be able to watch a movie either. You shouldn't be able to enjoy your food. You should just lock yourself at home and just breathe into the same stifling mask 24/7 and just beg for forgiveness from the Democrat overlords who say if only you listen more, nobody would have died from COVID. No joy, no fun, no human contact, no dancing. That's what we're heading for if we allow them to continue this abject madness. But that's also that's a real litmus test. I remember a teacher telling me when I was in grammar school. He said, "You know how you really hate somebody when the sight of them eating food really bothers you." And when you think about that, It makes some sense, and I'm sure some of you have had that before. You see someone and you just go, "Oh, just look at that person, just stuffing his face." They may be having just like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Doesn't matter. Look at that person, just the way they're chewing, and they're just such a gluttonous. It doesn't matter if they're super skinny and eating healthy. It doesn't matter. But they're getting some enjoyment out of this process, and you find it gross. That's when you know you really hate someone, or if you hate the sound of someone chewing. But only one person, or someone specifically. If you hate chewing in general, then you're like me, because I just get bothered by noises. It's a problem. But if you hate the sound of one individual chewing, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you also, one of the best things that I think I've learned as I've gotten older is all you have to know about whether a person is really on your team, whether they're a real friend, is are they legitimately happy for you when something good happens and want the best for you. And it has nothing to do with them. When a friend of yours, when you come to a friend and say, "Hey, I just got, hey, Bob, I just got that promotion." Is Bob like, "Oh, that's great. I'm going to take you out. Steaks on me. That's fantastic. I'm so happy for you. You must have told Ethel, the wife back home that, I don't know why Bob's married to Ethel, but, they met when they were in high school. And, the whole thing, right? That's, if you tell somebody that, you got that big promotion and he goes, and you say, "Hey, Bob, I got the promotion." I don't know who's Bob in this. I've lost the plot with that. But if you say, "Hey, I got that promotion," and your friend responds, "Really? I thought you didn't even like that job." It's really all you have to know, folks. It's all you have to know. Tells you everything else. It shows you their hand all at once. And when you have members of the media who can't allow the president of the United States in an off-the-cuff moment at a rally, which is supposed to be an entertainment, it's supposed to be at a rally to just like dance to some music for a second, it means you hate the sight of that person chewing his food. It means you've crossed over into, true Trump derangement syndrome. You've crossed over into the realm of irrational disdain. So I know it's just a little moment there, but they really, you've heard me say this a million times, they really hate this guy. And always remember this, friends. We don't hate, we don't hate the Democrat politicians. We make fun of them when we need to. We disagree with them vehemently. We want to defeat their ideology. But the ones that can be brought over to our side, I say, great, the water's warm, jump in. And the ones that we think are, doing a lot of damage to the country, we have a process, we have a political process to push back and fight back against that. But ultimately, they're human beings too, and we don't want anything bad to happen to them. We want them to be healthy and just to spend time with their family and grandkids and have moments of joy too. And don't ever lose that. Don't ever allow these political fights to turn you into a person who hates the sight of a stranger dancing and expressing joy. Don't ever let that happen. Now we can do roll call.
It's time for roll call.
Indeed it is time for roll call. And this is also the time of day when I see the dog. I've got her back again, producer Mark, the little Frenchie. My parents let me have her. They thought I was sad without her, and fact check, true. So I've got her again. But this is nap number 3 at this part of the day. So
I didn't know you lost the dog for a while.
I had to give her back to my parents. It's technically their dog, so I had to give her back for a while. But now we're like shared custody. Now I'm like her uncle that takes her to ball games, but that's and keeps her for a few days. So
Now you're just gonna have to get your own dog.
I know, but I feel like as long as she's around, you got a shared custody. I'll have to figure this one out, but. One day, you and Mrs. Mark are going to get a 4-legged friend.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as we get a house, the second purchase is a dog. Well, I guess
I
you don't
got
purchase a dog, but you know what I mean.
I was visiting friends down in Baltimore. Lovely place. Baltimore over the weekend. But actually, they live outside of Baltimore. It's quite beautiful. But and there are some really nice kind of Gothic-looking structures. Old Baltimore's got some cool stuff, but there's obviously some really rough areas of it. But they're in the suburbs. But I was down, and they have a little kitten, and I always feel like kittens are a trap because kittens are great, like they're so fun and soft and cute, but then they grow up into cats. Just saying.
Yeah, they're awful animals.
Whoa. We love all cat lovers here on the Buck Sexton Show.
Oh, if you
producer.
love cats, good for you. I just don't like them.
But you know what I mean about kitten? There was a little tiny kitten, too. It was like the little fluffy furball phase. It's tiny. It was like jumping all over me and stuff. I was having fun.
Yeah, I guess kittens are cute. When they turn into cats, they just hide from you.
Yeah. I always have this dream, too, that one day I could have a pet fox. And there's an Instagram account called Juniper Fox that I follow, where it's a person who has 2 pet foxes. Like, they're like dogs, except they're wild foxes, and they live in their house.
I saw a Facebook video the other day of some woman that has 2 squirrels as pets.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Mark,
Really?
why didn't you send this to me? Sign me up.
I'm sorry.
I love animals. Yeah, any cute animal stuff. You can always, send me like important stuff so that we can keep doing the show and make our audience
Send
happy.
you pictures of animals.
But also, yeah, cute animal pictures. I'm all about it. All right. Brandy, I'm sorry for the delay. Here we go. Hey, Buck, what do you think of all these polls saying Trump is behind Biden? I don't get it. He has huge crowds and enthusiasm. Are the polls all wrong? Is Trump going to win Shields High? Oh, Brandy, you ask a great question, but it's one that I can just give you my best sense about. And my best sense is, yes, Trump is going to win. But I cannot guarantee it. And I wish I could. I am not, I'll tell you this, I'm more confident that at least New York City and other Democrat parts of the country are going to go into lockdowns than I are that Trump is going to win the election. Which is not to say I don't think Trump's going to win the election. It's just, I'd say I'm 67 or 5 or, something like 60, 70% sure. But there's a good chunk. I mean, there's about a 1 in 3 shot here that Biden, in my mind, wins this thing. Folks, got to keep it real. Can't tell you lies. And then as for the crowds, well, Democrats right now think that good people avoid crowds. So it's tough to know how much of that is lack of enthusiasm for Biden. But also when you add in all the fraudulent mail-in ballots that are going to be collected by ballot harvesters and all the other stuff, it gets a little tougher. I don't know. It's going to be very, very tight. As for the polls, I think the polls are not representative of what's going to happen in this election. And I think it's because there are enough people who are libs who run these polling companies who feel like it doesn't matter. If they're wrong, they better do everything they can to suppress Trump turnout. I think that's what's happening. But maybe look, folks, if the Freedom Hut has to become, the Freedom Fort where we're all gathered together every day because we're heading into a Biden administration and we got to get ready for the oncoming. I mean, this is why I always say Shields High. It's all about, all about being able to handle the incoming, and incoming administration in this case, but incoming in a whole bunch of ways. That's really a secret to life. And if we have to, we'll band together and we'll do it, and we'll be fine. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out. I'm not gonna. One thing you'll never have is me. Trump lost. The Republic is gone. And look, it's gonna be bad for the country. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna sell all the stock that I own, and I'm not kidding when I say gold. There's a reason I love gold so much. There's a reason I own gold. There's a reason I got a gold sponsor. That's for real, folks. That's all for real. Because you get into Biden and modern monetary theory stuff and the AOC wing and the history of fiat currency. And I really mean this, the history of fiat currency that is not tied to any actual observable, demonstrable metric of value is very clear and it's very bad. Eventually it collapses. So I do have concerns about that. But not really yet. And I'm not going to do the catastrophist thing because who knows? Maybe Trump wins and we're able to make some good things happen here. And I think it will happen. But Brandy, see, you got me on this one, and that was where my mind focused in on. More roll call here with Richard. Buck, I thought Obamacare and Roe was settled law constitutionally. Is the left tipping their hat that they've built a judicial house of cards since the 70s that could fall if we get some traditional judges in there? The Dems have reaped what they have sowed. rack up the cases, and knock them down. Shields and gavels high. Yeah, Richard, you're right about this. I mean, they realize that these victories that they've had from the Supreme Court are fragile and could be and are temporary in that sense. And they've led themselves to believe that whatever they achieve via the court, which means they couldn't get it through normal legislative process, whatever they get handed by the court is permanent, but that's just not true. Or it doesn't have to be true. It has been true so far, at least with Roe, but it does not have to be true. So we will have to see if perhaps this is the beginning of the end of that perception. We'll see. I remember I've told you this. ACB, be a very good judge. Doesn't mean conservatives are going to like everything that she decides. And we're okay with that. Right? That's how I view things. Sometimes I don't agree with the law. You know, look, even with like the Roger Stone thing, for example, you know, General Flynn, I don't think actually lied. I think that they misrepresented what he said, and that's why they didn't think he lied. So I think they set him up, and that was an ambush, and they lied about it. So it was fraudulent. The fix was in, but Roger Stone. I like Roger. I like Roger. I think he's an entertaining guy, but he kind of didn't really, technically, yeah, he did some stuff. So he's being held accountable for that. So, and then, although they want to send him to prison for 9 years, that's insane. He should have gotten a slap on the wrist, probation, and, let to go on his way. That's it. Let's see here. Kathy, Buck, love the show. It's my favorite drive home radio. You guys crack me up while informing you of the day's Democrat, but I got to clear this up. Jersey gravy starts with beef base, usually a demi-glace made with bones. Marinara is a vegetable-based. Hey, Mario, Luigi. I always thought they were the same, just like you, until I got really into cooking. Shields high. Producer Mark, is this Jersey thing, Jersey gravy with beef base? You're a Jersey guy. Any weigh in on this?
All right, let's start off with one thing. I'm not a Jersey guy.
I mean, technically, you are a resident of the state of New Jersey.
Right now, I'm a resident. That doesn't mean I'm a Jersey guy.
Fair enough.
Calm down. Yeah, I think that's true. Marinara sauce is just kind of tomato sauce that doesn't have anything in it, and usually other sauces have stuff in it. Either beef or vegetables or something.
Producer Nick, who is Italiano,
he would know better than me.
He's never heard of this before. So maybe this is like a Jersey specific thing.
Well, I mean, if you buy a jar of tomato sauce or you go to a restaurant, usually they cook it with vegetables and whatnot. And I believe marinara sauce, is just tomatoes. Just, vegetarian maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really care. They both are delicious.
Fair point. No, I had gluten-free. There's a great gluten-free Italian place in New York, and I had my brothers over last night because I got one brother now who just moved out. He's moved to Austin. He moved today, actually. When people hear the show. So KLBJ Austin, you have one of the Sexton boys now among you. He's moved there. So if you got any advice or any from all our KLBJ folks, any advice, and he'll kill me if he hears me say this, any lovely single ladies in their 30s who want a handsome, Ivy League educated entrepreneur, he's a single man. I'm just putting it out. I'm just saying. I'm just helping my brother. But he's down in Austin. So there you go. Rob, Buck, been listening since the days of the Blaze. Glad you'll be resuming Shields High series. I'm thrilled to hear it. I'm also a keen student of history and thoroughly enjoyed Shields High. I've often wondered if you would ever have more time to create episodes. Can't wait to hear them. Keep up the great work. All hail the hair, and yes, the beard as well. Rob, I think that's the first beard props I've ever gotten. Usually it's like, yeah, you look like you're trying to buy beer somewhere, But, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I've gotten better at shaping and trimming the beard. At first, it was kind of just like the Tom Hanks beard from Castaway, except not as full. And now I understand beardodynamics a little bit. Do you think that's a thing, Producer Mark? Beardodynamics?
Dynamics? No.
No. I feel like I just made up a word. But yeah, now I understand how to contour and shape and do all that good stuff. So that's kind of where I'm rolling. And as for the Shields High, yeah, we already have one Malta in. So at some point, if I don't get others, producer Mark is just going to say, we can't wait anymore. He's going to release it. But I'm going to get others done. We're going to get Malta 1 and 2, Lepanto 1 and 2, and Dracula, I think. Dracula. That'll be fun. And that one's got to get done soon because I want to do it for the. Also, maybe I should do Madame. Is it Madame Bovary? I think is her name. From Romania or something. Who some of you know what I'm talking about. She killed all the people and swam in their blood or something. It's bad stuff, but scary. Anyway, sorry, not the way I wanted to end the show. Thanks so much for being here, team. Back tomorrow. Pass the buck to a friend this week. Tell them about the Buck Sexton Show. Give them the podcast to listen to. Shields high.